Hey everyone, Calypso here. Really quick update before we start this episode. Faceless Mike had some technical difficulties halfway through. I've edited all that out, but I did have to ramble for like 10 minutes. I've put that at the very end. There's a timestamp. You're watching this on YouTube down below. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, you can go to 4218 if you want to hear me talk about True Detective Thomas Ligotti for like 10 minutes. Let's get to this episode.
Welcome to Deadhaus Whispers.
Greetings, everyone. I am Calypso, and welcome to another episode of Deadhaus Whispers. And like always, I am joined by my fabulous co-host, Faceless Mike.
Greetings, hello, and welcome. And hey, my camera works this time. Woo!
Yay, we fixed all the issues. It actually worked flawlessly. Knock on wood. Let's fix. Yeah, exactly. All right. So before we get into the meat of this episode, we have a couple of sort of celebrations. One is it is officially, as of like the beginning of this month, pretty much. We were supposed to do this episode a little earlier. Now it's over. But it is officially the 100th anniversary of Call of Cthulhu and the day that the earthquake struck Louisiana and the cult raised up Cthulhu from the undead. The story was actually published in like 1926 or 1927 or something, but the end date, because Lovecraft did this all the time, was he actually wrote the date in my little headcanon of when he started to write the story, which was March 1st, 1925. So
all hail our eternal sleeping lord.
Yep. All hail. And shout out to our leader of the voice actors, George Ledoux. I emailed the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society in attempting to become a voice actor or audition for them in the future. And I've also gave them your info, George, if you haven't worked with them already. So they have your info now. And if you get an email or a call from the HPLHS, then you're welcome. Pretty much that's it. That's all the announcements.
That's fine. So, and we have this. I'll let this run in the background as you go over this today, because we'll go for it probably twice or three times because we've got a little nice ambiance going for it.
Yes. So yes, George Ledoux and Joey Sorless in this episode, of course. And this is the error, but mistakes were made. And we actually start off with
18th of Lau, month of glory.
Which is a great little bit of foreshadowing right off the bat. So after I trapped the soul of Gwyneth Arman and fell upon the Attonites, Alaric passes out, and this is great because he's blood-starved now, pretty much after this whole ordeal. Alaric passes out, even losing his name and forgetting what it is, but one thing remained, and that was
to be fair, we've all had those nights out.
The thirst of blood. Yep. I don't know who I am, but I sure am thirsty.
My experiences with vampirism thus far have led me to believe that I am my blood. That all the rest of me is merely a vessel which can be broken and reformed with no harm to my true self. It is the blood that compels me. It is the blood that grants me strength.
He is blood. Blood is him. He is a vessel which can be broken and reformed. It is the blood that grants him his strength and basically who he is. It is all consuming. Blood is the life.
Blood is the life.
Blood is everything. When he is weakened, the blood is weakened. But then like he starts to snap out of it as he drinks more blood. I am not the blood. And I am not only my blood. My deepest identity of a vampire is the thirst, he comes to learn. The thirst itself. It does not weaken or go away. It is constant. The thirst and the blood is immune to oblivion. Blood is the life. It was against a fleeting denial of his name is Alaric.
Praise the Weaver.
Blood engorges Alaric. Blood engorges Alaric, rats, wolves, deer, animal blood. He sees the memories of these animals a little lower, some a little higher, medium height. All of these animals merge like a really cool body horror scene. And it's like, imagine the... in my head, what I picture is when he's drinking this blood and seeing all these animals' visions, he sees the mutated dog from The Thing, essentially. Like, they're just all fused together as this gross abomination, but it's blood that he sees, like blood monsters in this form, essentially. He finally wakes up and snaps out of it because he was about to be crystallized, as it turns out, and we get some great lines from Amarak's.
Good. It seems you're all better.
All better? What in the Viva's name was that?
You needed blood. I brought you blood.
From an abomination?
We have no access to tithes.
That's not... Where did this thing even come from?
You were beginning to crystallize when I retrieved you. I brought us back to Malorum and set off at once in search of living blood.
And you just found this thing traipsing about the forest?
Well, you needed a great deal of blood, and all I could find were small animals.
That does not answer my question.
They kept running from me, scattering every which way. Difficult to measure like that, so I put them together to keep them organized.
I love that. I picture Amarak's like running like through his ship or wherever he ends up when he gets back, when they get back to Malorum, and he's chasing down all these animals. I imagine him just getting really frustrated, walking really slowly like a serial killer villain, but he can't catch them because he's so slow. So he just gets really pissed off and like using telekinesis, just bash him against trees.
I think it's just like using telekinesis, just grabbing them all and kind of smushing them all together away.
Yeah.
Because that's what he comments about. He's like, how did you get to this? Like, well, they weren't cooperating.
Like, I have the great image of my head of just Amarak's walking, you know, trying to catch a rabbit. You know, it runs away. He walks forward, tries to catch it again. Like a slow, arduous process. Then he just gets pissed off and telekinesis.
Oh, you know that's totally what happened.
They are now south of the World Gate. They are headed to Sepulchrium, the capital of the dead, once called Usilia.
I loved his delivery on that. It was called Usilia once. Mm-hmm. It's like Sepulchrium, the place of many deaths. Great. He says, I knew the dead would take over, like what might dwell in it and all like that, but to make it the seat of their power, he says, the irony was not lost on me. The place of many graves.
Yes, a place of many graves. I was just about to say that. The Maw now contains the soul of Gwyneth Armin. With it, we may negotiate our pardon. Alaric is worried about the soul of Gwyneth escaping, but it can't do that, according to
Amarak. Be fair,
Nagaztak,
to Alaric, he did see a revenant bust its way out of it.
Very true, very true. And we learn revenants break a lot of rules because of their rage. So, Nagaztak, Pentarch of the Shambling Hordes. So my brain forgot what Pentarch means. So Pentarch is the head of a thing, but it's also part of a group of 5 or more. So Nagaztak is one part of a pentarchy of leaders of Deadhaus.
I wonder who the other 4 are.
So you have like, so there's 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So who are the other 4? Like, you know,
I'm sure Barrett's got some theories.
Oh yeah, I'm sure too. Lucen Armin, Templar in life, Revenant in undeath, also known as Nagaztak. We finally get confirmation on that. Only a matter of time before the Darklight Enclave learns, and we don't have a pardon yet, so they go south.
Traveling by day.
The Blackened Cage with our little wispy friends. Yes, traveling by day. And I like this, that daylight doesn't kill vampires. It only weakens them, and it hurts. That's part of the original vampire myth. Like, Dracula. In Dracula, vampires don't die from sunlight. It just weakens Dracula. It was in Blood Omen, all that stuff. The sunlight hurting vampires is an Anne Rice invention, as far as I'm aware or concerned. I haven't looked at my vampire lore in a long time, so I could be wrong.
One to use it was Nosferatu, actually. But she made it. But that doesn't explicitly state a lot, because that was in the silent movie. But it was only after all of that. It was never in Bram Stoker. It was never in a lot of the older stuff. It's just they didn't go out in the day. They were creatures of the night. And in mythology, there's nothing to say any of it. Like, there's many cultures, the oldest going back to old Chinese, were the first ones to have what would be considered a vampire. Never had anything about the daylight. It's just they were not seen much in the day.
We got you, Varys. Way later on. Hey Varric. I think it's a popular thing. It's fine, but I definitely like the idea of vampires just not being killed in the day and only being weakened. I think that's more interesting. And we also learn that there's something here that hurts Amarax as well, similar to the sunlight, but not destroyed by daylight. Irrelevant to the pain. Amarax is indifferent or unknown. Circles of symbols for them to wait until daybreak, which silent lines. There we go. It's called silent lines.
I love that. Silent work in the writhing dark, and you could literally hear Amarax going, the what?
Those look like silent lines.
Silent lines?
I saw them around a nameless city, beneath the writhing dark.
Writhing dark? Oh. A seal of interdiction. It disperses the flow of magic.
Wouldn't that affect you? Make you weaker?
That is its purpose.
I don't follow.
Harder to find me this way.
The Wraiths.
Yes.
He's like combing through Alaric's brain. What is he talking about?
I do like that Alaric's knowledge from being Grand Inquisitor of Thacia and, alchemy and all this other scientific magic-y stuff. He knows what silent lines are. And he just calls them, whatever Amarax calls them is irrelevant. They're a block of magical
lines. Oh, you mean lines of interdiction?
Yes, lines. Yes, there we go.
It's a symbol of interdiction.
I like that. This is meant to hide them from the Darklight Enclave, so they don't just get murdered by a bunch of wraiths.
Magic. It disperses magic in other directions, so it can't really be detected or used.
I love the effect. Yeah. I'll put everything in post, of course, but I love the effect that Amarax's voice tunes in and out like a radio signal or like a staticky television when he's inside of these lines, because it dispels magic, and liches are nothing but magical force. A seal of there we go. I just had it in my notes. Of course, a seal of interdiction dispels the purposes of magic. Harder to find Amarax with this power. Amarax does this seal. It gives. Alaric asks, does the seal give you pain similar to sunlight? And it's irrelevant. Everything is irrelevant to Amarax. I love that. Revenants break many rules by sheer rage. So if they were inside of a silent line, I don't even think it would work on a Revenant because they're just so angry all the time. Gwyneth can't escape the maw, much less being inside of a silent line as well. Distinct possibility that Nagaztak can escape a maw. Who knows? I like to think so because we've seen it before.
If a normal Revenant can, even though he was a strong Revenant with a lot of experience, but I don't think he's quite on the same level as Nagaztak.
There's a lot of great banter between both of them. So much. It's so good. We get some shade love. I do love the little shade. I hope we get a plushie. Give me a plushie. Like my
Step one, body
pillow.
pillow. Step two, shade plushie. I think the shade plushie is probably more doable. I don't know. Maybe we can get that sorted.
Yeah,
but I think the body pillow could be something you could get Calypso. I'm fairly certain.
Oh yes, Amarax thinks shades are mindless creatures, but he's been wrong before by thinking that ghouls are stupid. And ghouls are probably one of the most intelligent races. He calls them
a lesser manifestation of magic. So he says, and then when Alaric starts giving out to him about it, and he's like, I look forward to your dissertation on the sentience of shade.
It was of great assistance to me.
It did as commanded.
There's more to it than that. You underestimate it.
A lesser manifestation of magic, mindless.
From your lofty view, you may see far, but perhaps not low.
Well then, I eagerly await your dissertation on the sentience of shades.
He's trying to be a smart-ass, condescending, rotten, just rotten. That's all he is. He's not a rotten something, he's just rotten.
Yes, he's just rotten. I love that Amarax has lived for so long and is so arrogant at this point that he's wrong about things, because he's just so arrogant and full of himself and thinks he knows everything because he's been a lich for so long. He's inevitably
That's not the
wrong
thing at all.
And very clearly makes mistakes.
Yes, we're about to find out.
We are about to find out. So within their bantering of their buddy cop glory, and there's some great lines of like, but then we wouldn't be friends if I. Oh yes, that's the other thing. I think it's before this or after the boss fight that's about to happen that that Alaric questions Amrax. Well, why couldn't you do all of the crap that I did? Why'd you send me here? Why couldn't you do it? You could have easily, gone to Anumat and not been detected like an idiot like me. You could have gone and done Gwyneth Armin and done all that stuff, and probably had an easier time of it than I would. What's up, dude? And Amrax simply replies with, I had my own stuff to do, man, so I needed you to do your task. I had my thing, you had your thing.
That's a funny...
That. But I really think that's just
foreshadowing
an excuse
that I think we're going to see in another few episodes.
Then the light of dawn shows up out of nowhere, and we meet our biblical angel again, the messenger. And this rest of the episode is just a really long boss fight.
And
it's such a cool boss fight. I picture this as like a bullet hell scenario.
It came at the beginning with whoops. I may have made a mistake. I may have made an error.
Oops.
Some messenger!
They're like, what, you can't even count?
Oh, dude, I was chuckling. I was listening to this before we started, and I was chuckling. It makes me laugh.
I just love how the description. So basically, to let everyone know, you need to listen to it because there's no way we could do it justice here. You need to go listen to the episode.
Yeah, no, it would just take way too long.
Essentially, the messenger shows up, gives his little speech about how he'd saved Alaric, so now it's his time to go to the gold. And they essentially say, F no. Try to escape, but this plays out like a boss battle in the mechanics of the messenger firing golden bolts reaving across the ground and destroying buildings while the guys duck, dodge, dive, duck, dodge, and dive again to get out of it, and the whole time trying to save the maw and the little thing with the shade, not the shade, the wisp.
Yeah,
the will-o'-the-wisp
cage
in the thing, because wisp is very important. You'll find out later.
Yes,
they're very important, and I love the part where Amrax is telling Alaric, hold on, I'll deal with this, and he does a few special moves. Again, won't spoil. Listen to the episode. He does his few special moves to try deal with this, but he's clearly outmatched. This is clearly a being beyond his capabilities or his direct capabilities, and we get to a point where he just gets nuked. And even before that, when Alaric tries to save him, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I was trying to protect you. He's like, put me down. Just drop me. You keep going and all like that. Yeah. But it doesn't bother Amrax because, again, he still has a phylactery. He's never going to be completely destroyed. He can be brought back. And it's a fantastic fight. And I love that a few people managed to pick out, these sound like boss mechanics. That'd be an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah. We have some quotes from the messenger here, and it's when the messenger first shows up.
Thrice hast thou prayed. Thrice hath thou been delivered. And now is the hour of thy destiny.
The blood, and that's the other thing. Alaric's blood doesn't obey him or pay attention when he's in the presence of the messenger. So meanwhile, the messenger is trying to kill both of them, essentially, and Alaric can't do jack, but Amrax can. So the blood would not obey Alaric in the presence of the messenger. Amrax removed himself from the seal, and we get our boss fights, and there's green and gold flying everywhere. Alaric then finds a way to sort of command his blood and run away.
You dare defy the All-Fire corpse?
Messenger charges up a power shot.
Amrax turned to me quickly and said,
Alaric, I may have miscounted.
And an enormous bolt of gold blasted from the messenger's eye.
Green spheres and gold spheres flown across the graves. There's a lot going on here. Plan, Lich, distract it. Alaric distracts the messenger. Messenger is focused on Amrax. Alaric throws a brick, and the messenger looks around at Alaric. Bolt of gold flows, turns to dust because Alaric's trying to stop.
No, I snatched one of the bricks at the edge and hurled it at the central eye, but one of the many smaller eyes upon its wing shot a bolt of gold just before it struck, turning the brick to dust.
Yes.
We're actually right on time with our little thing.
We are. Sickles, so we have big energy beams. Bullets. See, I pictured this as a bullet hell. I can see the messenger with its creepy eyes just gosh, Varric, you said it the other day, old school shooter, top down, spaceships, Galaga. Is it Galaga?
It's like a mixture between a bullet hell and something out of Bayonetta.
Yeah, something like that. That's totally what I pictured. While
What is the plan, Lich? I thought back frantically.
Distract it.
Hey! No! I snatched one of the bricks from the arch and hurled it at the central eye. But one of the many smaller eyes upon its wings shot a lesser bolt of gold just before it struck, turning the brick to dust. The terrible thrumming rose in power.
Narrowly escapes, bolts, more bolts. And then we get, Amarax does a thing, or Alaric does a thing. I think Alaric has the maw. 2 pairs of serpent-shaped shadows surround Alaric and go for the messenger. And I think they're confirmed to be demons.
Well, he's using that magic.
Because of,
the way he said he can use the different elements.
Yes. And then the serpents actually take out a couple of the eyes from the messenger, and he bleeds gold. I love that. I love that he bleeds literal like molten gold from the messenger like blood. And it turns night. It's so bright. And whenever the messenger is there, night basically turns to day. And I think that has to do with, heaven power or whatever. I'd like to think, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, is that the reason Alaric's blood won't pay attention and do anything while the messenger is present, or any angel or angel house or whatever it's called, I forgot the name, is because they are so powerful, and they are like the sun. Empyrean, thank you. They're so bright, they're so heavenly and holy. They are literally the sun.
There we go. The molten gold burst from the wounds, spattering the ruins.
So it's like when there's regular sunlight and it's during the day, it just hurts Alaric and it makes him weak. But when you're in the presence of the literal sun in a certain form, then you are just powerless completely. And I think that's why the blood won't do anything. I could be wrong though, and it could be a prophecy thing or a.
Well, don't forget, at some point, a part of his blood was still human. And he did worship Elsabaoth.
Oh, that's true.
Technically, he was promised there first. So technically, not even technically, on a very visceral, literal level, this is a fight between Deadhaus and Empyrean for Alaric.
There's all these great little details where, like, the messenger, when he shows up, he's just kind of like daylight. When the messenger opens his wings, bleeds, or shoots off a blast, it just becomes stronger. So I have written here, open wings and stronger daylight. There's a stronger daylight presence. So it's just getting brighter and brighter and brighter as this sort of fight goes on. Like, I picture a nuclear blast kind of like as bright as a nuclear bomb almost, or, living, or like, I don't know, just standing right in front of the sun.
This is the bit where he says
something like that.
Focus on the Lich. Just before the bolt release, a messenger collapsed in on himself in an instant, vanishing only to rematerialize directly above Amarax.
Yeah, it's that's the other thing. We get like Dragon Ball Z teleportation here. It's so cool. Every eye from every wing.
Yeah, it left it out there to think, but it was like, uh-oh.
To the gold art thou sworn, and to the gold shall I bear thee.
And then we get our favorite bit. Sound from the distant skies that I had heard once in a nightmare. And now our favorite cameo of the most epic royalty of Deadhaus, the black dragon.
A shuddering hiss as a giant corpse dragon shows up. And I have Draco written here. Nightmare of death.
Wrought in dragon's form.
Fragments, fragrance. It smells bad, I guess. There's skeleton flames, molding flesh. There's no skull.
That's what
really
it is.
hollow
there's no
sockets,
base on it.
Black blood,
and skull is molded into an almost smile with these large jagged teeth, with ichor oozing and falling out from its eyes and its mouth as it's going. It's beautiful description.
Messenger looks at giant dead dragon, huge power surges from the messenger to try to really take this thing out. The dragon moves just before there's a huge
I pictured
beam.
a whole like from the barrel or alien roll.
Do a barrel roll.
But the same way as Alaric and Amarax were completely outmatched by the messenger is fundamentally outmatched by this dragon.
Oh yeah, I picture like a total cartoon moment where the messenger sees the dragon and like there's big eyes on there already. But I imagine them getting like Looney Tunes cartoon, like big, and we get a cool mid-air fight, like Dance of Dragons, Game of Thrones, Dragon Ball Z, really cool stuff. I pictured in my head when this. dragon fight like Game of Thrones. Yeah, beams of gold and
I watched
black.
as his fleshless fangs torn into its central eye, viscerally rippling liquid gold free. I could hear the sound that must have been pain, thunderous and terrifying. The messenger began to glow brighter. Its thrumming rose so that it trembled my bones, and the dragon reared up upon its back legs, crossing its forelegs over its ribs and wrapping itself in its head. So basically just protection. Just
huge explosion throwing
liches aren't the only one that can self-sacrifice, apparently.
Alaric can't breathe. The wind is knocked out of him, but he's a vampire.
The blast wave struck me like the hammer of God, flinging me from the open field, scalding my flesh and exposing my bones. I crashed and tumbled over Malorum like a stone skipping across a pond.
And then I like that Alaric is learning from his, mistakes and everything else. So he knows he has to turn himself into mist in order to heal himself here. So he does that. He opens his mouth to scream. No scream comes out, and he turns into mist. He drank deeply of the night air and begins to heal himself, which is
he's
cool.
Finally figured out this is how vampires fix themselves, and he's slowly practiced over his time of doing stuff, and now he can control it. He's leveled up a little.
Yeah. With Alaric runs and looks for Amrax because he's worried within the crater, and the narrow column
you missed a bit there. So he reformed himself, and he runs to the column bit, right? But he knows Amrax is gone.
Yes.
But he sees the cage and the maw still there in a thing of interdiction. So everything else got blasted in the crater, but this one thing is held up in the middle and protected. And my favorite line of it was Alaric goes, "Thank the Weaver," and then we get the intrusive thought saying,
"Yes,
thank the Weaver.
Thank me.
The month of him."
Yes.
That's what you said. On the 15th night, the messenger would return.
I've told you I miscounted.
Miscounted?
I reversed the signs. I am not beyond error.
That's a damned big error.
You can allow me one for your many.
I can damn well count at least. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see? Oh, you wouldn't understand my research. It's far too advanced.
Very well, Alaric.
My plans and understandings are beyond the lesser minds of the world, unless they involve what time it is.
You have my sincerest apologies.
Irrelevant. I can open doors to alternate realities, but I can't read a calendar.
Don't forget the cage.
Yes, we wouldn't want to forget something important now, would we?
Like, even a Lich Kid, I felt the secondhand embarrassment for Amrax from all of this.
You wouldn't understand my research. It's far too advanced.
Oh, I can open doors. I can open doors to other dimensions, but I can't read a freaking calendar. We don't forget the cage. We wouldn't want to forget something important, would we?
And he apologizes from the dragon. It's like, you have my sincerest apology.
Black Ichor from the dragon transforms into a black cloud, and we see two shining eyes like silver coins.
He says, "I've seen myself,
and it is.
I've seen myself reflected in two shining eyes, as I did so long ago in a nightmare." It's like, it's so beautifully done, and we get our first look.
Yeah, we do.
The atmosphere in this has been phenomenal, because I love just the background like that's shown in these episodes, because it lets you get lost in the story more.
Yeah,
and then there he is.
Mm-hmm. There he is. Oh, looks so good, man.
In a black cloud, from out of that cloud, and emerged a princely figure draped in black. His features were angular and drawn, pale and hard as ice, and his eyes shone like silver coins. I saw myself reflected in them as I had once so long ago. I love that. The prince nodded and gave a courtly bow. What could I do but bow back? That is fantastic. I love that as well, because that's how you make an entrance. He destroys the messenger, even with the thing protecting himself and everything. A big pile of ichor. Sorry about that, guys. ISP issues, and for some reason, the entire internet for this whole region died for 10 minutes.
Oh, man.
Wasn't just me. Down detector and phone data are a savior. So sorry about that. Although, thank you, Calypso, for holding up the phone. I still had it on the phone checking it out.
Well, on the bright side, it stretched our episode out a couple of extra minutes, so that's good.
Oh yeah, gotta get that algorithm going and all like that. Again, sorry about that, guys. That's the fun part of doing things live. You know, you can never control or tell what exactly is going to happen or what way anything's going to completely poop the bed.
Yep.
You know, but yeah, I caught your bit though about Thomas Ligotti, and definitely it's been one that Dennis has recommended a lot.
Yeah,
and I took his advice, was reading it. I would highly recommend anyone, because it's not even so much as psychological horror. How did Dennis describe it? It's philosophical horror.
Yeah, there we go. Philosophical horror sounds way
better. It's amazing. Like Grim Scribe, and what is it? Songs of a Dead Dreamer.
Yeah.
I have the book. It's one book. It's two books in one, but it's like together. Loads of stories, and it's a phenomenal read, and definitely something worth checking out from everyone. But to bring it back to where we were, yeah, Fetid Prince, awesome, love the guy, absolute worship from here, of course. As the vampire aficionado, of course, you know I'm going to be the one to worship the Fetid Prince.
Yes. What's the next? I couldn't find the next episodes. I swear to God, I saved all the episode stuff, but the next episode is what?
Hold on, I'll pull it up here. It's if anyone wants to go. Oh yeah, by the way, go check out the Deadhaus Sonata Discord. You can find them all there. Deadhaussonata.com. There's a link there to join the Discord. You should do that. And if we take a look, there's a little thing on upcoming events, and it tells you what it is. But you can also go to the website where they're listed. And I know they were put up here. Hold on. Of course, I have the wrong thing open. No, it's because everything crashed, so everything reset, so I have absolutely nothing open. Because it turns out when you get disconnected from the internet, absolutely everything dies.
Yep, of course.
I didn't know it closes all your tabs, though. That's an interesting one. That's a new one on me.
Yeah, no, oh man. I was working on a video the other day, and our power went out, just like blackout across our area, kind of like what you just happened, and I lost everything.
Oh,
I was working for like hours, and normally when we have shutdowns like that, I'll boot my computer back up, and it will still be there for whatever magic reason. I don't know why, but I literally lost everything, and I think it's because I went to go turn on and off my power switch to see, oh well, maybe it was just a breaker issue, so I just got to turn it back on and off again, and I think that's what killed my save progress. But I mean, I obviously got done with it. I published it. Everybody follow me on YouTube at Calypso694. watch my videos.
And our schedule for season 3 is as follows, as written by Dennis Dyack himself. We have The Error for March 12th, and then on April 16th we're getting The Source Part 1. And then on May 14th, we're having The Source Part 2, because this is quite long. Although I do think everyone is going to absolutely love the upcoming stories. And then the next ones we have coming up on June 18th are The Black Hand. And the rest of them there, you can go onto the forums and check them out yourselves. They're under there. There's a particular post put up on the news section called Over 10 Hours of the Radio Plays and Our Schedule Release. And you can go check out there, because there's nice little thumbnails for every single one of them. And they're nice little teases as to what's coming up. So I think it'll be definitely worth you checking out. And I think we're going to have a lot to do over the next 2 episodes, Calypso.
Oh, yeah. I will be sure to take all of the notes.
It'll be fantastic.
Boy, I'm kind of dreading it, because it's a 2-parter. I'm kind of dreading just how long it's going to be. Here's the other thing, though, because it's English is hard. Because it's a 2-parter, do you want to do part 1 and part 2 as is, or do you want to do part 1 and part 2 combined into just one really long episode?
Do you know what I'd like to do? I
would
love to do one episode where we talk about the 2 of them and have the entire story rolled into one, and another episode and see, can we have the Fetid Prince join us?
Oh,
wouldn't that be awesome?
Cool. I think that would
be awesome. Case any of you don't know, the Fetid Prince is being voiced Abel Foster, an absolute legend that he is. I'm sure he would acquiesce to our request. of coming on and having a chat, because the guy is an absolute legend. Although I say that every one of the guys have been absolute legends so far. They've all been fantastic.
But they have been,
Joey, Chris, Matt, George, as always. George is just... George goes above and beyond. For anyone that might catch this, that doesn't actually catch the radio plays live and listens to them after the fact, let me tell you something about George. Every time there is a radio play, and there's very few exceptions that are missed, but almost every radio play, George Ledoux himself comes into the Deadhaus Sonata Discord, sits with the fans, listens to the radio plays live, and then actually chats to everyone afterwards. How many people who work in gaming or media or anything, whether it's like Netflix shows, animated series, and all, actually show up for every episode of the thing to talk to their fans? Like, that is amazing. And of course, Dennis is always there. Dennis will always show up to talk to everyone, because again, we have very few people who work in the games industry who actually sit down and listen to their fans as well. So like, little tip, guys, if you ever want to actually chat with the guys and get a little bit of insider onto this, and a few beans spilled sometimes and all like that, you should show up on the Discord when these go live, because you actually get to interact with the guys. I know, because Calypso's always there too.
Yes, I'm always there too. So if you want to ever talk to me, Mike, and anybody else, Dennis too. Dennis shows up. Like, people think I joke when I constantly say on my YouTube videos, oh, I've talked to Dennis Dyack about this or that or a billion other things. The dude is super active and talks to anybody. You know, I don't know if he gets annoyed by it at all.
No, he loves it.
If he does, he's really great at showing it. Oh, okay, great. So he loves it. Yeah. Like, you can jump in the Discord, join in our voice chats, either after these episodes or like whenever, a lot of the time. And Dennis will show up and talk to you guys. And he's really chill. He's like a chill dude. You can ask him a bunch of questions. I ask him all the annoying questions, and he'll, you know, answer them. If he can't answer them, he's not under some NDA or whatever. Like, I asked an Eternal Darkness question earlier on. So, Dennis, to reiterate that question, I guess, if you listen, what did you model Alexander Roivas from Eternal Darkness purposely after Sarah Michelle Gellar, or was it just happenstance? And did she were you attempting to get her as the actress for it? Because they used her in magazine ads and everything for Eternal Darkness back then. I swear to God, unless it's a Mandela effect that I'm having or something. And then she was also in the Buffy games and everything else like that back then. I just think she was everywhere. But that's my opinion or my question, and I guess so. Maybe he'll answer it, maybe he won't. I don't know. If he does, cool. Thanks for the answer, Dennis. Yes.
That might be our sign to finish up, though, before anything else goes wrong.
I think so, yeah. I think so, yep. I'll fix all of this. Don't worry. People who are listening live, you get a once-in-a-lifetime experience. People who are listening afterward, it's going to be totally different. But hope you've enjoyed this episode, everybody. Feel free to follow us on all the socials down below. DeadhausSonata.com. Join the Discord. Talk to Dennis Dyack. Follow all of us on everything. Check out my YouTube channel. All that jazz. I've been Calypso, Faceless Mike, and we will see you guys in the next one. Fight the living. Our bell tolls for all. Mike froze. Got it. Okay, thanks for the confirmation, Varric. All right, so yes, Mike has frozen. I don't know what's going on with that, but we will keep this rolling. So with all of that said, great episode. Bye, everyone. No. So to cover for all of this, Dennis, if you are listening to this at some point in the future, I have an Eternal Darkness video I'm working on. Did you purposely choose like Sarah Michelle Gellar as the model for Eternal Darkness, or was that just like happenstance? And did you attempt to get Sarah Michelle Gellar or Buffy essentially to be that voice actress, or was it always going to be Jennifer Hale? Is a question that I've always thought. Because, like, am I crazy? I think it looks like Sarah Michelle Gellar. I'm pretty sure it is. And there was magazine ads. I'll never forget. There's magazine ads of her holding like an axe or a shotgun, and it's Sarah Michelle Gellar, and she's dressed up like Alexander Roivas. And they reused that ad in Metal Gear Twin Snakes, only it was a little one from Eternal Darkness. I know that's a whole big question. So did Sarah Michelle Gellar, was she intentionally the model for Alexander Roivas in Eternal Darkness? speaking of Eternal Darkness, I really hope that like the Lovecraftian stuff shows up a lot more in Deadhaus. I think that'd be really cool. Personally, you know, like give me tentacle monsters. I obviously don't want to go full Cthulhu because I think that's a cop-out. And I think full actual Cthulhu mythos can be done elsewhere, and you know, keeping it original for Deadhaus is always good. I think that's why Eternal Darkness is my favorite Lovecraft game, because even though it's very Lovecraftian, it's still original gods and original concepts that are Lovecraftian, but it's not literally Cthulhu and literally Nyarlathotep and literally Shub-Niggurath and stuff like that. That's just my thoughts. And that's my question for Eternal Darkness. I don't know. I really like this episode personally. I think boss fights are really cool. I think it's a great depiction of a boss fight in a radio drama form. Reading Legati too. I own Conspiracy Against the Human Race, and I think I picked up Songs for a Dead Dreamer last year. Maybe, I'm unsure. I gotta check. But Conspiracy Against the Human Race by Thomas Legati is nihilist fiction, not really fit like just nihilist talk. Hopelessness, the world is nothing, pessimistic and nihilistic talk. Oh wow, he's still alive. Thomas Legati is 71 years old, everybody. And he graduated from Wayne State University, and he's been writing since 1981. But yeah, Conspiracy Against the Human Race is kind of depressing. Like, I get it. It's meant, you know, as a sort of like philosophy. It's a philosophy book. There we go. It's like a philosophy book of nothing is, you know, real and God doesn't exist and just all this talk that makes you question your life. It's super depressing. I don't know. It's good. It's written well, but it's super depressing. True Detective season 1 used a lot of Thomas Legati, like plagiaristically so. Direct lines are directly lifted from Thomas Legati's Conspiracy Against the Human Race and Song for a Dead Dreamer sometimes, even though Song for a Dead Dreamer it's just pure fiction. It's not like a pessimistic philosophy book like Conspiracy Against the Human Race is, which is good. I definitely still think you should read both of those books. I read a little bit of Songs for a Dead Dreamer, and it's super like it's dark. There's a story I won't forget this one. There's a story very similar to like Yellow Wallpaper, if you guys know that story from Yellow Wallpaper. Really great story. Read the Yellow Wallpaper. But there's a story of an actor or a model, and she is, you know, older now, and she's drinking, and she's like in her late 50s or whatever, and she's just sad with her life that she's not a model anymore or an actress or something, but she keeps seeing in the mirror this horrible figure. You know, like something is out to get her, and she sees something in the walls and hears something in the walls, and whenever she looks in the mirror, she sees some monster that isn't her face. And I guess the allegory is that it's just her getting older or something, but then she dies somehow. It's really weird. Like, Songs for a Dead Dreamer is really good, but it is really off the wall fiction. Like, really is some of the greatest horror stories I've ever read. They're not too long either. I definitely think you should read both of those. If you want something sad and depressing, Conspiracy Against the Human Race. And if you want a good horror story, short story collection, then read Songs for a Dead Dreamer. It's also a recommendation from Dennis Dyack. Of course, it's very Lovecraftian as well. There's not so many tentacle monsters. It's more inter-self and psychological stuff. But yeah, there is some tentacle monsters, I think, from the couple of stories that I read. So reading a little bit more about Legati. Legati suffers from chronic anxiety and anhedonia, which is just depression, I suppose, for much of his life. These have been prominent in his themes of work. Well, that makes sense. Legati avoids the explicit violence common in some recent horror fiction. Yes, he does. It's more in your brain and psychological, preferring to establish a disquieting, pessimistic atmosphere through use of subtlety and repetition. I'm telling you, you gotta read some of these books. He is 3/4 Sicilian, 1/4 Polish, and a genetic combination he likes to think contributed to the bizarre quality of my imagination and to what has been called its universality. Universality. He says that his Polish grandmother's stories, though not horrific, put me in touch with an older and stranger world that I would otherwise have known, and that emerged when I started writing stories so many years later. For 23 years, Ligotti worked as an associate editor at Gale Research. Oh, wow. A publishing company that produces compilations of literary and other research. In summer of 2001, Ligotti quit his job. The Gale Group moved to South Florida. Politically, he identifies as a socialist. Alrighty then. He's been influenced by the first-person voice in which Nabokov wrote and the densely metaphorical style of Bruno Schultz. Don't know who any of those people are, but I will look them up. In 2003, Wildside Press published the Thomas Ligotti Reader Essays and Exploration, a collection of essays about Ligotti, work edited by Daryl Schweitzer. Author Jeff Vandermeer has penned numerous pieces praising Ligotti's writing, including the introduction to the Penguin Classics edition of Songs of a Dead Dreamer. Oh my god, I've been saying it wrong this whole time. Songs of a Dead Dreamer, not Songs for a Dead Dreamer. Tomato, tomato, I guess. No worries, no worries. Tech issues about here at Deadhaus Whispers. I jinxed it. I said it was good, and I jinxed it. Oh, here we go. We're getting to the juicy part. In 2014, the HBO television series True Detective attracted attention from some of Ligotti's fans because of the resemblance of the pessimistic and nihilistic philosophy espoused in the first few episodes by the character Rust Cole, played by Matthew McConaughey, and Ligotti's own philosophical pessimism and antithetical nihilism, whatever, especially as expressed in the conspiracy against the human race. After accusations that dialogue from Cole's character in Detective was lifted from the conspiracy against the human race, series writer Nick Palazzo confirmed in the Wall Street Journal that because he didn't want to get sued, along with several other writers and texts were weird supernatural horror genre, had indeed influenced him. Palazzo said he found Conspiracy Against the Human Race to be incredibly powerful. Writing on top of the two hard-boiled detectives, he asked, what could be more hard-boiled than the worldview of Ligotti? Writing of Ligotti and Eugene Thacker cited as an influence in the 2021 album The Nightmare of Being by Gothenburg melodic death metal band At the Gates. That's really cool. I fully believe that the writer from True Detective ripped off Ligotti and didn't want to get sued, so he admitted it, but I definitely think they settled out of court and they paid Ligotti a crap ton of money, because if you watch True Detective Season 1 and then you watch Seasons 2 and 3 and 4, Night Country that came out, writer for all of them, Nick Palazzo, it gets dramatically worse as each season goes on. It's not bad television or awful television, but the writing is nowhere near as top-notch as it is in True Detective Season 1. And it's by the same guy, so why is it so good in Season 1? Because he fucking ripped off Thomas Ligotti and basically plagiarized it. And because he didn't want to get sued up the butt, because he just got famous from all this True Detective stuff, they settled out of court and paid him a flat fee of whatever the hell he is, paying and stuff. It's ridiculous. But True Detective Season 1 is great. Season 2, 3, and 4, I think, are also good, but just not as good as Season 1 is. You can't really top that. And there's rumors that Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson are coming back for another True Detective, reprising those roles. I think that's a mistake, because True Detective Season 1 did it pretty perfectly. But if they continue that story and it's just as good as Season 1, I don't know if it will be, then all more power to it. That's great. Ramsey Campbell is also another author I recommend besides Thomas Ligotti, and of course Lovecraft and Poe and everything. I have the collections for all of them. It's really good stuff. So thanks for listening to me rambling on for a couple of minutes.